Hey everybody, it's the Doctor here with Typical Manga Fan, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is dedicated to Bleach, Chapter 652, The Theata Suicide, Scene 6. And we open up with pretty much where we left off last week with Nanao holding the Hakkyoken Shinken, or do I have that backwards? Shinken Hakkyoken. Either way.
Shinken Hakkyoken. Yeah.
Okay. Either way, she's standing tall in front of Tweety Barrow, who's just wondering what that sword's about. And why it's so bright, like it's such a bright, tacky sword. What's Nanao notices, because that's actually an intended effect against divine-type beings. It reflects the ability of the god it is facing off against. It's reflecting the light from your eyes. That means it is diffusing the light you're emanating. Like, Tweety, I don't understand what you are implying, though it does not displease me to be referred to as a god.
You know what's really interesting is, first off, that's actually a bad thing he said that, because he said that he was okay with being called something on the same level as Yubok. Yubok's gonna kill him for that, because the guy is like, yeah, I mean, right?
Very probably. Well,
because Yubok is an asshole when it comes to being being godlike. So if you say shit like that, then it's like no, he's gonna kill you.
Well, all things considered, it's gonna be a moot point in a chapter or two anyway.
Also, it's kind of I have a question that was like, so obviously he talks about how he's God messenger and shit, but technically speaking, since all the Quinces have somewhat holy type of spiritual energy or spiritual or forms, then wouldn't this sword be effective against all of them, or is it just conveniently only this guy?
I don't know. Like I said, it's the sword that can kill this exact foe. And
yeah.
At that point, we flash back to Nanao overhearing a conversation between her mother and a man she does not recognize, or cannot clearly see because she's not even looking outside. But she does note that she knows two things about that man: the fact that he wore hairpins in his long hair, and that he wore a woman's kimono over his shoulders. And basically, we were flashed back to her school days, where obviously Kyoraku was paying a visit to the Soul Reaper Academy, Shinigami Academy. And she didn't make anything of the kimono, but the hairpins she recognized as similar to her mother's.
Yeah.
And she eventually everybody's getting their squad placements, etc., etc. And Nanao gets placed in 8th squad alongside Kyoraku. Obviously by design. Oh, and one person here says, isn't Vice Captain Aizen totally dreamy? So he's not the only that kind of gives an idea when this takes place, because that's when Shinji was the lead squad.
I knew someone would say that. Because everyone always has to talk about how hot Aizen is. You know, they always have to put that how everyone loved him.
Especially Aizen himself.
Yeah. But yeah. So this explains obviously why she was put in the squad 8, even though she doesn't have a Sakpato, because obviously she wanted to go to the Kita Corps.
Right,
I'm glad they made a reference to it, by the way, because I swear to God, everyone forgets about it.
Yeah, we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves on that one. We're still kind of with Nanao, though. It's an old couple that took her in and raised her, is praising her for becoming the Soul Reaper, joining the squad. And she's noticing that she talks about entering the academy. She couldn't make the Asauchi, the starter sword that was provided, become her own, but her talents in Kido kind of made up for it. Without a sword, she thought she could. She didn't have a Zanpakuto, so she thought she'd be better off in the Kido Corps, so she kind of went for that, and apparently got the Kyoraku.
Yeah. Well, first off, who's pretty
much Captain Sanji at the moment.
Yeah, but I mean, now that they mention the Kita Corps, it's kind of we all remember Hachi and Tessio, whatever his name was, right? What was his name?
Which
the captain, the Kita Corps captain, the guy who's always with Urahara, the T. Everyone should know who he is. But if he's the captain, then
I think Tessai. I think you're right about that.
Tessai, yeah. Tessai. Okay, so the captain and lieutenant. And they were gone. They got exiled, right? So Did they never get replaced? Because I'm sure we all be needing all the help we can get. So I'm sure the Kido captain and lieutenant or lieutenant could help. But no, I guess we just don't like that. I mean, everyone's been using even the best Kido fighters are not using Kido, and every time when someone does use Kido, it's always the same damn technique. I mean, how many times have we seen the Rukios do Hado 33 Sokatsui? It's just really. And
coming back to the present, Nanao attacks Tweety Barrow, but it goes about as well as you'd expect, really. From an attack by a female in Bleach. It just kind of goes a little bit through his arm, and that's about it.
You know how I knew it wouldn't work?
Actually, it does take off his arm.
Yeah, but you know how I knew it wouldn't work? Look at her facial expression as she was swinging the sword. She's so freaking scared out of her mind. It's like she's so unsure what she's doing.
Right.
right?
Because she's never
And
really. I get the impression she's not a swordswoman. She's never used a sword,
then
which
why
makes
build her up like it?
exactly. I mean, on the one hand, this isn't really meant to be like your typical sword, so maybe she didn't quite expect that, um, but like she attacked, he parried it. Like I thought you had a rather peculiar sword, but now that I expect it closely, it doesn't even have a blade. It's a daring gambit for you to come swashing forth with a sword such as this. It's a daring gambit indeed. I never imagined that you would actually be able to cut me. Either way, this is the end for you. This will be the very last thing you see. You wasted your one opportunity to kill me.
yeah, and
I
then
will never again let down my guard as... I think it's supposed to be emissary, but it says commissary of God.
I'm just with emissary.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see her scared shitless. Wow, how surprising! Like that's not the first, definitely not the first time we've seen that from a woman in Bleach. So anyway, we go back to Kiraku, who is flashbacking himself because I guess this is flashback mayhem,
Yep.
and he's like, I had always blamed myself for basically the death of his sister-in-law because, as it turns out, she got executed for quote unquote losing the sword, one of the sacred treasures, and it's hilarious because wait a second, so. They gave the death sentence to someone who gave up something that they owned and they could use.
It's noted as a sacred treasure probably because it does have
fine,
specialized
but only
use.
they could use. Only they could use. And it's like, really?
Well, it's like there's other members of that family, and she was kind of like against them anyway in a way.
And you know, this is really funny because they keep doing execution sentence. You know who doesn't get an execution? Aizen.
Well, he got by the time they couldn't.
They sealed them. I'm sure Ichigo could be like, well, not Ichigo, but like, I'm sure all the captains at once could have bonk at the same time and killed. Like, I'm sure they could find a way to do it. You know, they had him held down. I'm sure they could have figured out a way. I mean, that's and also, why even give him a 20,000 years life sentence? Give him like an eternal life sentence. Like he went. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, Section 46 always gives execution sentences. What the frick? Do they just love executing people?
I don't know. Maybe Light Yagami died and wound up as their leader.
It's just ridiculous. Like, these guys are such assholes. Why do people even, like, okay, so I know that it's made of 40 wise men and 6 judges, but how do they actually get elected? Is this an election? How do they get there?
It.
You know?
I've never known Soul Society to be any kind of democratic, so I doubt elections are in any way involved.
Yeah, but it seems like the Gotei 13 are like, wow, these guys are assholes. We still gotta follow them, but they're assholes. Like whoever's electing these guys are like.
And then, like I said, kind of moving along here is, along with that, we're seeing Kiraku further in the past, like where his brother's apparently like entrusting the safety of his wife to him, and he's like,
okay, wait, how old? Okay, so if this is his brother dying, right? Which is if you look at Kiraku, he looks really young, right?
Right.
How old is Nanao, if you think about it?
I don't know. I mean, we knew she was an adolescent when Aizen was vice captain, so that puts her around. Of course, we already kind of knew that because we saw her during the Shinji's time.
Yeah, but this implies that there's been like 500 years from the moment she was born to like her adolescence. Because Kiraku, if you make a roughly proportion to like Kiraku and what he looked like when 100 years ago versus what he looked like 1,000 years ago, I mean this is like somewhere in between, right? So he's going all over the place when it comes to like at least
at the same
facial features.
When we see Nanao when she's little, with her mother talking to him, we don't really get a good look at Kiraku's face. So it's like it's not too far away.
Well, I think he was wearing the uniform from the Shinigami Academy. So we have seen what his face looks like when he was wearing the uniform. He basically looks like what he is now, except he has shorter hair. I just find it hilarious because it seems like they age whenever it's convenient. That's what it is, though. They age when it's convenient, and the reason why I take personal problem with this is because of the now Kiraku relationship, supposed or whatever. That's why I'm like, okay, the age difference is ridiculously high. Not just the incest, but the age difference.
I care less about the age difference and more about the incest. But
I care about both. It's a problem. It's just the relationship itself is a problem. Let's put it that way. But yeah, so let's move on.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, like he's felt burdened by all this. Like he's like everyone around him trusts something, pressed him, and then they pass away. And it's a difficult one, and he almost wants Nanao to just just let the weight get off his shoulders this one time. Like he wants Nanao to actually allow him to do that. And then that's at this point, he steps up behind her and takes her hands in his, and apparently they're gonna do this together.
Okay. This is my least. That was my least favorite moment of this chapter.
Huh.
And-
Yeah, because real quick, I almost forgot. The page right before that, it's like, I beg of you, take this weight off his shoulders. Please allow me to protect you. He says to his niece, because that's like one step removed from "I love you" in Japanese.
Yeah, well, I've heard that thing so many times in shonen manga, but even in Bleach, that it's just kind of like whatever.
Yeah, but still, it almost really is.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, family members can say that to each other. I'm okay with that. I mean, it doesn't Orihime's brother Sora, doesn't he like say that to her occasionally?
I think so.
Before he died.
I think so. Though in that case, I guess maybe I'm making too much out of that, but still, it's still kind of in my head there. I kind of like.
Ichigo says that like about everyone. Ichigo says that about literally everyone.
Yeah.
So I mean, well, that's not okay. So let's talk about the real problem. At least I have with this chapter was, of course, the female gets built up out of a Deus Ex Machina for something. Okay, I'm like, okay, I don't like this, but if you're gonna go for it. And then it immediately backtracks and shows how the problem is when you do this, you only show how vulnerable and defenseless they are. Because there's nothing more than trying to build something up and letting it all fall down. Because
this is arguably worse than with Rukia, because we never really expected him now to be like a serious fighter in the first place.
Yeah. So you built up of expectations only to let it crumble to the ground. It's like the more you build up, the higher it can fall down. It's like the higher the greater the altitude can fall down.
Yeah, it's just pretty. It is pretty lame. Like I said, I always had the big issue with that in Rookie, and this is pretty much just the same thing, just maybe in smaller scale, so to speak.
Well, it's
and not to mention just how long this fight has gone now. We're already at 6 chapters. I mean, we could have ended it already. We could have ended it while he was striking the final blow.
See, here's the thing.
We would believe it was the final blow, but still.
Yeah, it is simultaneously better and worse than the Rukia one, because the Rukia one was pissed off because it was bad in the sense that it was worse that we had more investment in her character
she was an established badass.
Yeah, so to have to see her need help from her brother and cry when he accepts her is just ridiculous. This one was kind of like we didn't expect it, but because we didn't expect it, there was a lot more like, wow, what can she do? And so it's like it's more of a whiplash. Like, oh, she can do something? Oh no, she can't. And here's the problem I have. It's like. Okay, so what I wanted, I was against the fact that it was that she was the one to do the final blow, because I felt like again it was too much of a Deus Ex Machina.
The Deus Ex Machina bugged me, but I did kind of like the idea because it looked like we were hopefully getting a pattern of Captain start the fight, Lieutenant finishes it. So I kind of thought that'd be kind of neat if that would keep up. So it didn't bug me too much.
I would have preferred if you wanted to do that format. I would have preferred a tag team, not a. You go but not like they actually fight at the same time, not one tags out type of thing,
Well, we can only expect so much.
And then here's the problem: they have the power levels is so huge that I don't think the lieutenants are even capable of doing a final blow type of thing, unless it's an asshole. That's the problem.
Like Nemu's superpower, or
well, the problem is Bleach is doing. They've made it a point that captains are so much stronger than lieutenants, at least the normal lieutenants, not the Renjis, and that the Quincy's are so much more powerful than the captains, so that it just seems ridiculous that the lieutenants can do anything against the Quincy's, that's why I always argue, what's the point of the lieutenants anymore, they're just commentating, because that's literally what they've been doing. And so the Nemu thing was it would have been great, because she had a lot of potential that she didn't. No, we all expected something bigger out of her, and it kind of fell flat, in my opinion. This one was but this one's even worse in some ways, because we didn't expect anything out of her, so we were given a lot more hype, and it's just kind of like it just comes down to what was the point then, It comes out of nowhere. That's the thing. That's the worst part. With Nemu was like, okay, I can see him trying to build up to this, or at least somewhat, maybe not greatly, clearly, but with now it's like there was nothing out of that I could ever expect for her to be the strongest ever or whatever, and then now she's just like, nope, turns out she's not. She's just exactly as we thought she was, which is really bad in that sense too. And the problem is we don't have the problem is it's the other problem is that with why the now thing is the worst is that she was a character that we knew about but we didn't really care that much about, so to shove all this emotional investment in and not pull through, it makes it feel worse. Again, as I said before, it creates a really big bad whiplash. And okay, so what I wanted.
Yep.
What I wanted, I was against the whole thing, but since he went for it, I was like, okay. So you want now to be the one to do something, okay, fine. But let's not have her, do it all by herself because otherwise it would just been way too much of an asshole. Let's have Kyoku and her team up. He does the kind of like the fast blows.
That
and then
could still happen.
No, but not. Yeah, but I didn't like the way he started this off because the way he comes out and holds her hand and all that shit. But what I wanted was him basically distracting Little Baro or at least beating him defenses. Well, it now comes in for the big blows because that's the one that's like most effective. And the problem I have with the way he did it in this case is that it feels like the now is completely like the problem is I would have liked if she did do a lot of damage, but it just wasn't enough. With this one, she was scared. Mm-hmm. She looked weak, vulnerable, and she couldn't do anything. Like it ended up being completely 100% ineffective, and so you don't feel at all that like hyped up. You don't get excited. You just feel disappointment. With what I wanted was she's the lieutenant. She probably doesn't have much experience, and she will be scared. But let's not exploit that to the point where it gets really like in our faces about it. Which is what happened.
Well, like I said, it could even be like what Byakuya really mostly did when he stepped in for Rukia, just a word of support or something. I mean, she's not a frontline fighter. I could go for that.
Yeah, I mean, the problem was that. Yeah, the problem with the word support things. Again, it was still bad, but it was like the best way to get out of a bad situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, and at the very least, I would like it better with Nanao than with Rukia, because with Rukia, there's an expectation that she can handle this stuff by herself.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Rukia was what pissed me off the most was when she cried when her brother accepted her. I'm like, okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's right. No. I forgot about that.
I think you pointed that out too. Like, I think that was you the first one to point out. Like, that was the worst thing ever, or at least for her, because she should have moved on from like it shouldn't matter. Like if her brother accepts it, that's great. If he doesn't, well, too bad. She's her own character. She doesn't need her brother.
And plus, they've already passed that issue anyway.
So so here's the thing. So now with this, it's the same thing where it's like the female gets a chance to shine, but she can't do it without the man, And I get, and it's not even like, oh, at least they're trying. No, they're not trying.
Right.
Because they're half-assing it. It looks worse. Better to not do something than to half-ass it, because at least you don't build up the expectations and then let it all crumble. So what I hated was how he came out behind her and he's like, and he literally holds her hand and says, okay, I'm gonna protect you. Mm-hmm. Why can't she be the one protecting? Why can't she be the one protecting? Because when you're protecting, you're in a position of power. Because he's the one protecting, he puts himself in the position of power. He puts her in the position of like the princess, who is powerful in a sense of the symbolism, but not powerful in the role for the story, which is really what we want out of a girl. Because that's the thing. Like, the problem with females is that they're either one, labeled as whores, or two, labeled labeled as pure angels, or put on a pedestal. They're never in between. They're never a real character, and that is the problem I have. And again, Kubo doesn't deliver, and that is the problem I have. It's really disappointing. I mean, again, yeah, he literally has to hold her hand for this fight. If he's the one guiding her and shit, that's gonna piss me off even more. And even if it does build up to, well, if we all know it's not gonna happen, the whole he distracts and it's gonna be like that. We'll distract one time and she does. Like, the problem is, again, I said with Bleach, is that it's not gonna be a bunch of slashes. It's just gonna be one strike. Yeah. So we're not gonna that type of tactic doesn't work with the way Bleach quote unquote style is going at. So it's really I'm very disappointed. I'm a little upset. Why am I upset? I'm not even a girl. Why am I upset?
I don't know. It's weird how that sort of thing can work out sometimes. But that really is like the gist. I think it just comes off as really sexist, doesn't it?
It's sex. It's like it's not intentional, but it's like subconscious sexism.
I'm about to say it's not like he's trying to. It's a cultural sexism.
It's a cultural. It's coming out of you through not like you're trying to do something, but it ends up backfiring. That happens quite often.
We've been seeing that, like I said, even other series aren't like One Piece with Rebecca and all that.
Yeah, like how someone's, how like in race, like sometimes they try to compliment you, but they end up saying racist, like a backhanded racist comment. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's not you don't want to be racist, but the culture, the way you were raised, it's like built into you, so you can't really differentiate that. And at some point, it's like the culture's fault.
Yep.
But at the same time, when you're a grown man, you have to take responsibility, and I think he has to take responsibility for this. It's awful. Like, and it's not even just a now. It's Nemu, it's Rukia, it's every single Bleach female, including Unohana, who was a stepping stone for Kenpachi. All the females are stepping stones for the male character in some way.
Would Rangiku count for Hitagaya or no? Or Gin?
Yes. For Gin, yes. For Gin, yes. Because she was the damsel in his eyes. He had to take revenge for her because she was quote unquote exploited or in some ways violated in terms of the soul. So yeah, the gender roles are being exploited in Bleach, and of course I'm sorry, a lot of Bleach fans will disagree. I just think it's happening way too much to look the other way. It's way too much.
I mean, like I said,
Momo and Aizen too. Let's keep going.
Momo and Aizen is Momo and
let's
Aizen
keep going.
Easily.
Let's
so far the only exception has been Yoruichi. And with the dead brother walking, I'm afraid that there I maybe have that backwards, and she's the one who's going to die.
And here's the problem:
or she's going to be the stepping stone for a dead brother walking.
Yoichi's the last one standing in my eyes. But if you think about it, she's not been treated that great either, and she's still kind of like secondary to. She's like the follower to Urahara, which I'm gonna give leeway. That's fine. Everyone's a follower to Urahara. But
he's arranged it that way.
Yeah.
Like he's a much better manipulator than Aizen because he doesn't brag about it.
Yeah, I manipulate you. But yeah, I mean the females in Bleach. Oh my gosh, like there has to be better. There was another example I just completely forgot, but it was a really good example too. I think it was about Yoruichi. But yeah, it was disappointing.
Yeah, I mean this really was not a very good chapter at all. I mean the flashbacks were pretty good. I mean I did like Kyoraku and Nanao's flashbacks.
Well, here's the thing I'll say about Kubo. He knows how to write a flashback. He knows how to correctly put in the emotions. Right. The problem is
he can't do the present day for squat.
Yeah, and the problem is the flashback and the present, because of the difference in quality, it doesn't connect very well. So as an overall chapter, you just like you're in and out of it really quickly. It's another sense of whiplash. And the problem I have with maybe the reason why he's doing so well in flashbacks is because he always makes it sad. Every single time, right?
Well, maybe that's where his niche is.
If you think about it, sadness is the easiest emotion to exploit when it comes to the storytelling. You're gonna get the most effective positive reaction when you do something really sad. And since he always does it, he's always gonna get the good reception. I mean, he knows how to do it, but I'm just saying, I think he's doing a little too much because everyone's having a sad story, a flashback. Nemu had one that's kind of somewhat sad because it's like, oh, your father is proud of you, but he can't do it publicly, even though he's actually a piece of shit. Then there's the Basby really sad thing where he lost his hand or something. Then we have Yobok, and they made him look like he's really sad because they're like, oh, he was a baby who couldn't feel anything, and he was always alone and shit like that. Everyone has a sad backstory. Can we just have Ichigo's the best example, but that's a great one. That's the first one, so I'm gonna let that go.
Yeah, because that was early Bleach. That's when Bleach was really good.
Rukia had a sad backstory. Orihime had a sad backstory with her brother dying. Ishin had a sad one because he basically lost his powers and he lost his wife. Yeah, lots of people have sad backstories. Urahara got exiled. So yeah.
Yeah. That's just pretty.
I was just gonna say there was one more female bad problem. There was one more example I had that was really good, example of how the female was being treated poorly.
Alabel?
But, huh?
Alabel?
Oh no! But you pointed another one out. Thank you.
I want to say Nail, but I don't know if she might count as a special case.
Well, they kind of went for the sexism thing because Noitora was an asshole and a sexist.
Well, yeah, okay, well, yeah.
I'll let that.
And plus, he's got the whole age regression thing, so.
I'll let that go for the lolicon. But yeah, I'll let that go. That's fine. I didn't like how. But again, But another thing is that they hyped her up. She fought, and she was beating him down. But at the last, when it came down to it, she didn't pull through because F woman in Bleach.
Yeah, I mean, granted, we got to see Kenpachi fight, so that's always awesome. But still,
Loli and Men Only too. The two girls are of course all crazy. Well, specifically Loli.
The ones Orihime Dr. Grimjo obliterated them.
Yeah, who are all Aizen crazy. So see, that's the thing. Every female character has always something. It has always something that's exploiting with a guy. Every time.
Yeah, Bleach never actually come to think of it, they all do have a thing for a guy on there, don't they?
Yeah, I think the only one is Soifon because she has a thing for Yorichi, and that's it.
Same pattern, different gender.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me think. Yamamoyo, Yorichi. Let's go. Gin, the Rengoku one was really bad. Yeah. The fourth one was Unohana. Yeah, that's pretty bad. And of course, the second division, the lieutenant is also really bad too. She's useless, but I'm okay with. I'm okay with that because they made a point to say the medical division was like the worst in terms of fighting.
Oh, that's right. Unohana's lieutenant. Okay.
Yeah. Then there's the 5th. We got that. 6 is the Byakuya. That's fine. 7 is the dog captain, Komamura. 8 is Kiraku, the pedophile, and 9 is
The
Tosin.
incestuous pedophile.
Yeah, that too. Tosin is that's masculine. 10 is actually that's 1 was actually the opposite. He actually is trying to fight for his dead friend who is a woman. That's actually an inversion of that. That's good. 10 is Hisugaya who is a kid, but they use a female to kind of like
They use Renkiku as almost like a mother figure.
Yeah. 11 is Kenpachi. Yachiru again is also only there to support Kenpachi. Like they were hyping her up, but it turns out nope, she's just possibly.
Oh, Yachiru, yeah.
Yeah, Yachiru. 12 is the captain, the Nemu thing. Yeah, that's pretty bad. And 13 is
Ukitake and Rukia.
And also the girl, the third captain girl is all completely in love with Ukitake because of course that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Again, I know there was one up, but I can leave that for your notes or whatever. So that's fine.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think because the only other female character prominent besides the human cast, which Tatsuki maybe? Were you thinking of her?
No, I was thinking of a bigger character.
Then that would be because the only others I can think of there would be either Halibel, Thunder Witch, or one of the Fullbringer girls.
Definitely not. But thank you for bringing up the Fullbringer girls. That too. That too. See, we keep bringing more up, and it's amazing. It's like
what about? Could you be thinking of maybe one of Yuwak's angels, the Quincy girls?
No, there was something. I'm spazzing out. My bad. Well, regardless, even if I can't bring up that one example that I wanted, we're bringing up everything else, like literally every other character, please. So it still has the same, like we have the same logical reasoning where it's like no, there's a problem with the way the girls are treated in Bleach, and they're either treated as like the way we were talking about. And then they're pretty like, oh, I can't hit a girl, so they're gonna survive longer than everyone else,
Yep.
Maybe I might have been talking about how like Bambita was like portrayed as like sexually, or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had an issue with that too. So regardless,
yeah.
So yeah, that's me. That's us really being really critical of the way girls are, and rightfully so in my opinion. I think the way the women have been treated in Bleach have been awful.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I never really thought much of it beyond maybe like, whatever, that's how they do it. Up until Rukia. That's when it got to me. That's that Rukia and the Fear guy. But anyway, did you have anything else you wanted? Here, actually.
No, that was it. So I can just do the bye thing. We can just edit the last part.
Okay, I'll do that right now then. Right. And yeah, that's pretty much all we have at this point. There's like just more about that. So rather than keep going, we'll just end it here. That's been our review of Bleach chapter 652, the Theata Suicide, scene 6, and then some. Go ahead and take us away.
Bye!